All right, I'm going to do some notes for you guys to go over substitution method to help you out with that assignment for lesson 9-7 that I just assigned yesterday. I've got some steps written out here, and right off the bat, it's probably not going to make a lot of sense to you, but I think after we do a couple of examples and we talk about these steps, that they will be helpful. So I'm just going to read through them quick, and then we're going to do some work and see if we can get this stuff. Step 1, it says solve one of the equations for one variable. And then here it says sometimes that's already done for you. So sometimes you're going to see two equations, and one of them will already say y equals 2x plus 1. So that means the y is already solved for. Or maybe it'll say x equals 2y minus 1, and the x is solved for. So that's what I mean by sometimes this is done for you. And you'll see when we look at some examples. After you've done that, a lot of times you're going to end up with x equals something, or you might end up with y equals something. Okay, I always circle those answers because then I know that, oh, this is what I'm taking to put into the other equation. All right, like we're talking about for step 2. Substitute that answer from step 1 into the other equation and solve. So maybe this was like x equals 2y plus 1. And maybe this one said y equals 2x. Well, I would take this 2y plus 1 and put it in for the x, because it says right here x is 2y plus 1, so I put that in. We solve it. I'm just making up some numbers right now. Maybe it says y equals 3. Okay, there's my answer from step 2. Now step 3 says put that answer from step 2 into the answer from step 1. So now that I've circled these two, it kind of says, hey, take that one, put it into there. I do the math. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. X equals 7. So I have found the two answers. And just like solving these systems of equations by graphing, our answers still look the same. And I got to have my x comma y there. So the 7 should come first because that's my x coordinate, comma 3 because that was my y coordinate. Okay, so that's just kind of a quick example, some stuff I just made up. I'm going to go over to IXL here and maybe do a few of these problems with you. So make sure, write these 3 steps down somewhere or have them saved somewhere so you can kind of look at them and help yourself work through these problems. So if I go back to IXL here and I look at this problem, negative 6x plus 7y is 18, x equals negative 10. So now if I think about step 1 that I just showed you, it says solve one equation for one variable. Sometimes this is done for you. On this problem, it is done. It tells me x equals negative 10. So that means I want to take that negative 10 and put it in for the x in that other one. Okay, so step 1. Negative 6x plus 7y equals 18. Okay, over here it says x is negative 10. So right here where the x is, I'm going to put in negative 10. Negative 6 times negative 10 plus 7y equals 18. Now I've just got to do some math. Negative 6 times negative 10 is a positive 60, plus 7y is 18. Now we're trying to solve for y. We're going to do, we got to move this 60 over, so the opposite of positive 60 is negative 60, and 18 minus 60 gives me negative 42, and I still have 7y. Now, the last step to solve for y is to just divide by 7, y equals, negative divided by a positive is negative 6. Now this one's a little simpler because after I did step 1, here's my answer, step 1. Step 2 says to put that back in to my answer from step 1, but it already just says x equals negative 10. There's no y in it. So I'm done already. And like I told you before, to answer these, make sure you get your variables in the correct order. Negative 10. And what was y? Negative 6. Whew, got it right. All right, here's another easier type problem. They tell me x equals negative 2 or positive 2, sorry. So that's going to go in for the x right there. So for the first step, negative 2x plus 5, y equals negative 19. I'm just going to put that 2 in for the x. Negative 2 times a positive 2, what they told me, plus 5y is negative 19. Negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4, plus 5y is negative 19. Same type of thing, we're solving for y, so I got to move the 4, plus 4, plus 4. 5y equals negative 15. Divide by 5. Y equals negative 3. Now I said this is another simple one because I don't have to do anything after that. I have y and I have x. Those are the two things I need. And I'm just going to fill them in right there for x and y. X is 2. What do we say y was? Y was negative 3. I'm going to see if I can get to another example here. I'm going to work through this kind of quick. 4 times, instead of saying x, I'm going to say negative 7. 4 times negative 7 plus 7y equals negative 7. Lots of 7s here. Negative 7 times 4 is negative 28 plus 7y equals negative 7 plus 28 plus 28. 7y equals a positive 21 divided by 7, and that tells me y is 3. Again, another simple one. I have y, I have x. I can just go ahead and put them in. Negative 7, 3. Okay, now here we go. We get to one that's a little more complicated. I don't just have x as a number or just y as a number. But when I do look at this, step 1 is already done. I don't have to solve anything because they say y equals this. Okay? So I'm going to take, it doesn't matter which one, I'm just going to take the bottom one, because it says y equals 2x minus 10. So I'm going to circle what y equals. I'm circling that because it's going to help me later, and it's going to help me right now, because now I know that that 2x minus 10 is going to go right over here and go in for that y. So instead of writing y equals, I'm going to write 2x minus 10 equals. And it equals negative 10x plus 2. I don't really want that circled though, because that's going to confuse me later. Equals negative 10x plus 2. And now if you remember solving equations with variables on both sides, I want to move this negative 10 to the other side. So I'm going to add 10x plus 10x. Well, 10x plus 2x is 12x. Minus 10 equals 2. Add the 10. 12x equals 12. Divide by 12. X is 1. Now we got to go through step 2. Step 2, if you remember, says to take your answer from step 1, we got it right here, and put it into the answer from, I'm sorry, we did step 2. This is step 2. Step 1 was already done for us when I circled that. All this work we just did is step 2 to find what x is. Now we're at the end, step 3. I take my answer from step 2, that was the x equals 1, and it goes back into my answer from step 1. So instead of saying y equals 2x minus 10, I'm putting in the 1 for the x. 2 times 1 minus 10. Well, 2 minus 10 is negative 8. So there we have our two answers again. X, y, negative 1, or positive 1, negative 8. Positive 1, negative 8. This is another simple one because they tell me what x is already. So I'm going to put it into the other equation. I'm going to say, right, that was step 1 already done for me. Step 2, I'm going to put that into the other equation. 10 times negative 7 minus 9y equals 20. That gives me negative 70. Add 70. Negative 9y equals 90. So I've got the two answers again. I've got the x up here they gave me right away, and I've got the y down here that I just found. X goes first, negative 7, negative 10, negative 7, negative 10. I'm just going to do this quickly and see if I get to one more that I wanted you to help with here. 6 goes in for the x, plus 8y equals 14, minus 6, minus 6. Well, this one's going to work out nice. Two answers, y and x. 6 and Oh, shoot. Cancel. I gotta put a 1 there. 6, 1. All right, last one we're gonna do. Again, this one's kind of done for us. Step 1 is already done for us because it says y equals 2x minus 2. And I'm gonna take that and put it in for the other y. So 1 is done for us. Step 1 is done for us. I'm on step 2 now. And instead of saying y equals, I'm going to say 2x minus 2 equals 7x plus 8. I'm going to move this 2 to the other side, to the 7, because that's going to keep my variable positive. Not that it matters, but I just like to keep it positive when I can. Minus the 8 over. Negative 10 equals 5x. Whoops. Cancel that one, not this one. Negative 10 over 5 gives me negative 2. So there's my answer from step 2. Now I've got to take that answer and put it back into my answer from step 1. This is to finish step 3. So instead of y equals 2x minus 2, I'm going to put in negative 2 for x. Y equals 2 times negative 2 minus 2. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4 minus 2. Negative 4 and negative 2 leaves me negative 6. So I got my two answers. Y is negative 6, x is negative 2. So when I submit it, make sure you get them in the right order. X is negative 2. Y is negative 6. Negative 2, negative 6. All right, so that should help you get your Excel topic done for substitution.